I'm Lauren, and this is the third Canva tutorial to help writers to market their own books. In the last one, I did an image to be used on social media that is a quote from the book, and this is a different one. It's from the book Thanatu by Natalie J. Case. And the reason I wanted to do two different ones is to show you how different they can be stylistically based on the cover and style of your book. So as you can see, this is the style of the book. This is the book cover. And this is what we're going to end up making. This is a quote from the book. And the things that I'm going to show you here are how to overlay images, how to do embellishments with certain graphic elements, how to work with text to make it more eye-catching, and then also how to pull graphics and text from an image so that you can match them to the look and feel of the picture that you're working with. So I'm going to start with a new image. On the book cover, there's this beautiful castle and then the night sky with what looked to me a little bit like the Northern Lights. So what I'm going to be doing is pulling elements of that from Canva's photos and free imagery. With a Canva Pro account, you'll have a bigger selection of images that you'll be able to use. First, I'm going to look for the castle. And this was the image that I eventually ended up using. Dragging the edges to make it the right size. Then I wanted to overlay the image of the night sky with the Northern Lights. Once again, I'm using photos. If you look at the cover, the colors that are in here are red, purple, blue, navy blue, that kind of color palette. So I'm going to look for something similar in the images of the Northern Lights that I've found here. This seems like a pretty good match. So I pull it to be the right size to cover the whole image, and then I'm going to pull down the transparency so that you can see the other image underneath it. There's a little bit too much green and pink in this image for what I want, so I'm going to edit the photo and apply a filter to it to get the right color. So you can look at the different filter options to see what will work. In this case, I think Tundra will be closest to what we're looking for. And if you go and look at the original, that is a lot closer. The next thing I want to do is the embellishments by getting certain graphic elements. On the cover, there's this beautiful stained glass window, which to me looks like it has rose elements to it. So I'm going to look for a rose border design, and I'm going to look at the graphics, because this is something that I can often change the color of, which is very helpful. So this is a very nice rose border. What I'm going to do is bring the cover onto this canvas so that I can pull colors out of it. So I select the rose border, and then I'll go and pick a color from the cover. I usually like to do them in alternating corners at a diagonal, so you can copy and paste it, and then flip the image, horizontal and vertical, and then you have the exact same element in the other corner. In the previous tutorial, I showed you how to make a hero image of the books, so I'm going to go through that quite quickly now, and you can go and check the other one out to see how to do it in more detail. I'm using the mock-ups once again. I've done the print book, and now I'm going to get the tablet version. Now I'm going to just position the books in the corner. And that's the little hero shot to show the book cover. The next thing I'd like to show you is how to pull text from an image. So for this, it's a good way to get a similar font to the font used on the book cover. So the way you do this, you bring the image onto your canvas and edit the photo, and then up at the top here, you grab the text. So you'll see here, it's not identical, but it is similar. I'm going to delete the background and the subtitle. And here it's given me a Cinzel decorative font. I'm going to bold that. And you'll see here, it's quite similar to the original. It pulled the color out as well, but I want to make the color a little bit lighter so it's more visible. And then make the font slightly smaller. With the author name, I'm going to do a different font. So we've got the Cinzel decorative. I'll see here that there is just a Cinzel normal font. So I'm going to try that out and see if it makes the name a little bit easier to read, which I think it does. Then I'm going to pull the same color. Make it a little bit smaller so that it matches the size of the title itself, and then just position it correctly. Now I'm going to work on the quote. The quote we're going to use, "And now I will bleed you," just as we have done for millennia. As you would have seen from the previous tutorial that I did, I like to mix up the fonts and the colors to make it as eye-catching as possible. I'm going to use the same font that I did for the author's name for the first and last parts of the quote, and then the bleed you part, which is the most eye-catching, will be in a different handwritten font. I'm going to use the Cinzel font again and make it white and position it towards the middle of the canvas. I'm going to see if a lift or a shadow works best here. I'd say a shadow works best. You'll see it just makes it pop a little bit so that it's easier to read. I also went through how to do shadows in more detail in the previous tutorial. I'll look for a handwriting font that complements this one and makes the whole image pop, which will need to be made quite a lot bigger. Something you will see here is colors that you have put onto the canvas now stay up at the top as in the document colors. So I'm going to apply the same red that I did for the corner elements onto the font. And I'll play around with the arrangement of the text, meaning what layer it's on. So I'd like to make "and now I will" above "bleed you." You right click on it, layer, bring to front, and then it brings it in front of the next layer. And then let this one go underneath the "bleed you" text. I'm also going to put a shadow on the "bleed you" text. As I explained last time, there's quite an offset of the shadow because it's a much bigger font, so you just reduce that offset to bring it closer. And then I'd like to make it a much darker shadow. And there you have it. So the things that we've covered here are how to find the right images to match the look and feel for your book, how to pull text out of an image, how to embellish things using graphics that can change color, and then also how to work with fonts, shadows, and colors. Thank you very much, and I hope that you found this helpful.